The booming Aussie dollar. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. Let's have a look at this article from Yahoo Finance. The Aussie dollar is booming. Here's what to do with your money. Well, let's see what Yahoo or Jessica are telling us to do with our money. Because right now the Aussie dollar is sitting at 77 US cents. Up from a low, remember when it was under 60? But if we go further back, remember when it was over $1 US? That's about the time we actually bought a kind of like a Kickstarter thing for a 3D, no, not a 3D printer, a laser cutter, a desktop laser cutter. Because in architecture, we want to build physical models, and cutting little pieces of ply on lasers is just awesome. It's so much fun. If you haven't done it before, I recommend you do it, 100%. So we bought this machine. We bought this Kickstarter, and then it was delayed. It was delayed. It was delayed. And then, you know, we kind of said, no, I'm not waiting anymore. Wow, it was back that far. Oh, boy. I'm showing my age here. And, you know, a couple of years later, a few years later, we got a refund. And I actually made money on the refund because of the exchange rate. So that was awesome. You know, that was me playing the currencies right there. You know, master investor, or blind bloody luck. So, I mean, it's climbing up, and the concern is the higher it gets, the less affordable our exports are going to be to other countries and other parts of the world. That includes our industries that are doing oh so well right now, like our tourism industry, and our international education industry, and all of our natural resources. So, you know, they won't be as attractive, but it means our purchasing power on a global stage will be even more attractive. So we'll get more value for our money. Things that we import will be cheaper. And that's going to be even worse for those advocating for a local manufacturing industry here. So what can they do? Will the RBA intervene to drop the dollar, or how low will they get it? Particularly if it has a flow-on effect to employment. That's something we'll have to watch this coming year. So let's have a look at this article, everyone. So the Australian dollar is expected to keep rising this year amid hopes of global growth, economists have predicted, and Aussies should be poised to take advantage of the lower prices. The AUD started at 69 cents at the beginning of January 2020 and ended the year at 77 cents, a growth of about 12%. So there you go. You've just made 12% doing nothing. Awesome. Almost as good as investing in houses. Hey, guys. Strong commodity prices, high volumes of export sales, and overall positive global growth were factors that kept the dollar high last year, and it's expected to hold through 2021. The Australian dollar is a cyclical currency because of Australia's high exposure to commodity exports. So whenever global growth is expected to slow, it falls. But when global growth is expected to rise, the AUD goes up. AMP Capital Chief Economist Shane Oliver told Yahoo Finance. And I've also been told some people actually treat the Australian dollar as a proxy for the Chinese economy because of how closely we are tied to their economy, how many of our exports head over there. When the pandemic hit the world in March last year, the AUD collapsed alongside global growth to a low of 55 US cents, but has since rebounded to its current level of 77. The Australian dollar moves higher as the US dollar moves lower, which tends to rise in terms of uncertainty and drops during economic recovery, he said. The Australia Institute senior economist, Matt Grundoff, also said Australia's control of the virus has assisted the economy. Keeping the economy strong during the pandemic seems to have more to do with controlling community transmission than the lockdowns. While lockdowns do suppress economic activity, if governments are successful in controlling the spread of the virus, they increase consumer confidence and spending, creating the conditions for a strong economy, he said. So modest growth is expected for the dollar in 2021. As Australia's economy continues to rebound and business returns to normal, Oliver expects the Aussie dollar to remain high. The rally to US 78 cents saw the dollar get a bit ahead of itself, and it's now seeing a correction. But the trend in the AUD is likely to remain up as commodity prices continue to rise and the US dollar sees more downside, he said. By year end, we see it rising to around 80 US cents. Commonwealth Bank currency strategist Joseph Capurso has a less optimistic view of the Aussie dollar's growth, forecasting that it will end the year unchanged at 78 cents. While commodity prices are a significant driver of the Aussie dollar, trade tensions between Australia and China could threaten its growth, he warned. China is diverting its sources of agricultural products to the US because of its Phase 1 trade agreement and away from Australia, he says. Phase 1 trade agreement. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with all of these trade agreements next year in the US. What's interesting is that the US seem to be perfectly happy with, well, limiting people's ability to work due to political ideology, more so than trade issues with foreign powers. I mean, it's crazy over there. It really is. I mean, do people even understand what they're doing? Probably not. Anyway, the good news is that Australia has alternative agricultural export markets other than China, and the price of those alternative markets might be even cheaper compared to China, he added. So far this year, there is no obvious downtrend in Australian agricultural prices, but it is a risk worth monitoring. So what to do with your money? Typically, a strong Aussie dollar would mean better bang for your buck when traveling and spending overseas or buying products in other currencies. But with international travel simply not an option, Aussies can take advantage of the higher dollar when shopping online, particularly goods sold in US dollars. The strong dollar will lower the cost of imported items. This is how consumers can benefit as cars, electronic equipment, and other imports drop in price, says independent economist Stephen Koukoulas. Oil prices are also determined in US dollars, making petrol potentially cheaper, added Grundhoff. Suave shoppers could ensure delivery charges on the US sites are ultimately lower than Australian counterparts, Oliver pointed out. Otherwise, they may end up with a shopping cart that is more expensive than it needs to be. However, one caveat of buying overseas goods is that the money doesn't stay in Australia, the economist pointed out. Well, yeah, of course not. One strategy I'm doing with my pocket money investing is I'm buying US shares. So if the dollar goes higher, I'll lose on all the shares that I bought before the dollar goes higher, but dollar cost averaging, it should be better. Hopefully. Of course, the higher the dollar, the more there is a constraint on the local economy to grow. If we consumers skew our purchases to cheaper imported goods at the expense of locally produced goods, the local economy will be weaker than it otherwise would be, Koukoulas said. Well, he's right there, and that's what will happen. I bet you that's what will happen. The thing is, some people can't afford to buy locally made. And you shouldn't shame people for doing that. People who are doing it tight, who are tough, money's doing it tough, they've got to take care of their family. Family comes first. Charity begins at home. Some people are in a better financial position than they can pay the extra to make a ideologically based purchase, saying, I want to support the Australian economy and I'm going to do that as with my small consumer purchases over time. While others going, I'd love to do it, but I can't. I went to Bunnings the other day. Rachel wanted me to buy a clothes horse. She wanted a good quality one. And I went there, and there were some of them there. I was shocked. $80 for a clothes horse to put your clothes on. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't spend that much money on like 20 cents worth of scrap metal put into a few pipes with some plastic. So I was generous. I got her the $13 one, not the $6 one. There you go. Anyway, guys, what do you think? How are you planning to take advantage of the Aussie dollar? Are you a foreign exchange trader? Are you playing the market? Let us know in the comments down below. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.